Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to Pro Cycling Manager 2022 and a brand new Let's Play series. It is another career mode series for this one, but I'm super excited to bring this one to you because of the concept and what it is that I'm planning to do for this challenge series. And let's begin with what is that concept? Well, it starts with this guy and this guy, which this guy led to this guy. This one, he led to that guy. This guy eventually led to that guy. And then you had this guy who led to that guy. And even with that one, even though, okay, there were 7 of these jerseys that he won, and then things went sour. But what all of these things have in common is that you have generational talents that led to a new generation of talents. Again and again, there is a theme here. The big new feature of PCM22 was this totally revamped youth system. At the core of the new development system is a new scouting system that goes through nation by nation by nation and breaks down the types of riders that are developed. Now, there's far more riders than ever were before introduced to the database on a yearly basis. Not all of them end up making it. And the scouting system, at its core, it's a little bit hit and miss in the first year on how it all works out. But ultimately, the talent that does emerge, that does make it to teams as they enter their late teens and early 20s, from there is still similar to the old system. But now, instead of having random nations emerge with the best talents, the system does follow a pattern, and that pattern works, and that pattern is dynamic. And that part is the core of the new challenge that we're going to be playing for this one. Now, the aforementioned riders, what they all have in common with each other, such as Pogacar, are you have generational talents that come out of these systems and they inspire future generations, meaning the riders that you have down the road are dependent on the success of the riders in the peloton today or of the generations of the past. A Pogacar is somebody who benefited from a strong training structure in the game rated 1 to 10. Slovenia, it's a 9. An excellent youth training program. But also the popularity. How popular is the sport in a nation? And that popularity and that training are all things that are dependent on the success of the riders. Meaning, if somebody is winning races, big races in particular, they're going to make the sport more popular. So as Lance Armstrong went and won 7 Tour de France's, yeah, I know, okay, fine. He didn't keep them. He still inspired a new generation. Now, myself as an American, Lance Armstrong was hugely inspiring and why I'm a fan of the sport. So, okay, fine. Forget the rest of that. But, these guys inspire future generations. And what we are going to do with this is we are headed for an all-Asian playthrough. As you can see, Russia, it's considered part of Europe in this one, and so we have Asia. This is not to include Oceania. This is just Asia. And the reason why we're doing that is these Asian regions, they are the lowest rated countries in the game. As you go through Israel, Turkey, Iran, they each have their own, but the training structures are absurdly low. The popularity is absurdly low across the board. You can see Armenia, Palestine, literally ones. In the Central South, India is a little bit better. Kazakhstan slightly better with a 5.3. China, cycling is popular. There's going to be a lot more riders. But because training is a 1, quality of the riders are going to be absurdly low. In the game, the way the creation of riders work for youth riders coming in, the training structure is going to determine the quality of the riders themselves, while the popularity piece is going to determine the quantity of riders that show up. For example, China is going to produce lots of riders, but very, very low quality. South Korea is going to produce a decent number of riders, but of very low quality. Hong Kong is going to have the occasional rider, but again, they're going to come out with low quality. Taiwan is still going to have a low number of riders, but they're going to be a higher quality than what those other three nations are producing. And then in the case of Mongolia, you're going to actually get a decent rider or two, but that's all you're going to get because the popularity is very low. Japan is going to produce some of the best riders we're going to see, but with low training structure, it's going to be low quality. What we need is improving that training structure over time and improving the popularity so that there's a bigger pool of riders coming out of these nations. This is a series that could take a very, very long time to get through. Malaysia, 2-4. Thailand's a 1-4. Guam has a training structure of 3, but popularity is very low, so there's not going to be very many riders coming through the system. And again, with a trio of double ones for those last 3 nations. With only a single nation in the entire continent that has a training structure of 5, Kazakhstan is likely to put out the best riders that we're going to see. But with low popularity, it's going to be a small number. And the goal, the objective of this series is to grow and develop the entire region. We are going to try to turn Asia into the best hotbed of young talent across the board. Not just on our team, though of course we are going to have to do the dirty work on our team, but we want to produce the best cyclists in the world, all coming from this region. We want to get the top, 5 riders in the world being Asian riders. Can we do it? It's a many, many year playthrough, which also means the pacing is going to have to be such that we're doing a lot of bypassing. We're doing a lot of simming. We're not going to be participating in all of the races as we go through, but it's a big task at hand to try to raise the profile of a whole region. With a Chinese sponsor and 16 dirt cheap minimum salary, very, very poor quality 1.5 stars or below riders, we are set to begin our playthrough here. Now, throughout this playthrough, throughout this challenge, I will continue to stay with nothing but Asian riders and nothing but Asian sponsors. I will allow myself to take new sponsors as we go through so we can increase the funding that we will have. But as a continental team starting out, we're going to have low funding, and as we build, we have to stick to our region. And I'm going to force myself to spend at least 2 seasons with each sponsor before you move on to the next one, so that you at least have that continuation factor. There's potential this could take us a lot of seasons compared to others. Now, I'm not restricting myself like in the other series to 1 rider per nation. Doesn't matter how many Japanese riders or how many Chinese riders that I bring into the team, as long as I am sticking to our region, to our continent, essentially, that we are trying to develop. 38 nations are included in the Asian region in this game. In those 38 nations, just 3 have a popularity rating of higher than 4. The training ratings are significantly worse, and that's what actually determines the quality of the riders. And in that one, just a single nation is above 4, and just 4 additional nations even come in at a training structure of 3. This is out of 10. For those 38 nations, the average training structure is a 1.58, so about 1.5. Popularity scores come in at 2.84, so not quite 3. So a small pool of riders are going to be available with very, very poor quality at the beginning of this playthrough. Doesn't matter their age, doesn't matter which Asian nation they come from, But our overall goal is to try to raise levels within the nation, within the 38 nations. For comparisons, Australia has a 9.8. Even a significantly weaker cycling nation of New Zealand, even they come in with a 4.5. Powerhouse Belgium has a 9.10. Even Luxembourg comes in at a 7.4. In the British Isles, the UK has an 8.7. Ireland has a 5.4. Ireland would already be the strongest nation on our list in Asia. Denmark scores an 8.8. Even Russia has a 5.4 score. France is an 8.10. Germany is a 7.8. Colombia scores a 5.8. The US has a 7.6. There's plenty of talent coming out of other parts of the world that don't necessarily have to be the powerhouses. But by far the weakest region that we have is our own. You can see Africa, plenty of options here are as good or definitely better. Africa's not far beyond what Asia has, as there's certainly some weaker countries in there. But South Africa's a 3.4. That would right away be one of the strongest nations. Rwanda at a 4.4 is stronger than all but one Asian nation, and kind of equivalent as a 5.3 is our best. And where it's clear I could easily do an Africa and Asia playthrough for this one, Africa is slightly stronger than Asia. It's a few too many countries to try to build up. I like the idea of keeping ourselves just in the one region and see what we can do with this. One nice thing about sticking to Asia only for this one is that scouting wise, we're going to have just 2 scouts be able to scout the entire region and do so with the double efficiency bonus. That's going to make that part of it quite easy. When I start breaking down the roster that we started with, one, I was not paying attention to age or anything. I was just going for quality and grabbing pretty much at random some Asian riders of the lowest quality. So in mountain rating, there's no quality. Hills, there's no quality. Time trialing, classics, sprinting, across the board, we lack quality. I mean, our best rider is arguably Ki-Suk Lee, and Ki-Suk Lee is 33 years of age, 1.5 star, and can not really sprint, but is better at that than his teammates. What may happen here, and I'll take a look now, is there may be some potential, and there is here in Chi Sai-ying. Chi Sai-ying might just about climb a little bit, sprint a little bit, and may actually be worth hanging on to get some of that development, because realistically the team is really, really bad. But where he's at right now versus where he'll be, I mean, how many points are we going to get? Is he going to get low 60s? Is that his high end? No, I'd say that's probably mid 60s, upper 60s. That's going to be it. We're not talking about a guy who's going to go win in races. His start point is just crazy low. He's in 50s right now. He's a 0-star rider. One of the best riders on paper right now, Hai To-chuk from Hong Kong. He is one of the more capable and still has some room for growth and is just 22 years of age. This might be one of the better options we have, but again, this first squad is going to largely get replaced with some better options. We will find some. I just don't know how much. Needless to say, our season 1 expectations are extremely low, and I'm going to be going straight into just sponsor objectives. I'm guessing our race calendar is going to be really thin, and we're just going to kind of squeeze our way just at a fast pace, get through this first season and see what happens with scouting, see what we can find to bring some riders into the team in future years to really kind of start this project off in earnest. But the big thing is that we're very much going to be stuck with minimum contracts for the most part. One thing I haven't looked at yet, though, is to see what are our financial prospects. It looks like half of these guys are signed up for a second year, and it looks like a single rider, Liming Yo, who's a nothing, he's a 0, is signed up for 2. Nice thing is we don't have a terrible budget. I mean, there's a decent amount of cash in here, which means we can definitely afford to sign lots of riders, or certainly look for better options, some that are making a little bit more than minimum. There's not going to be much out of Asia, though, that are high salary kind of guys, high quality kind of riders. We're going to have to grow and develop it the hard way. We're going to get the best of a really bad bunch and hopefully squeeze out that occasional win that's going to start, even if gradually at first, raising that profile so that in future years better talent will slowly emerge. There's a very good chance that we are going to linger in Continental, or probably Continental Pro, for many seasons and not see World Tour for quite some time. Now, the main reason for that, dual main reasons. For one, there isn't going to be the riders that will push us into World Tour status. They're just not out there. They're not available. They don't exist in a set of Asian only riders. But more so, as we do find better and better talent, for those who have played the game a lot, the database gets deeper and deeper over time. It gets better. The quality gets better. And from what we've already seen, we're going to find a crazy number of Slovenian superstars. You're going to find a high number of French and Australian and German and British superstars, but not from our countries that we're going to be playing with. So where in my other series, my career mode series, where we can only have one rider per nation, you're getting one French, one Slovenian, one British star, even if they come and go, even if we haven't had a British star for a little while. You're still getting your main talents out of those main feeder nations. And while we might have Japanese rider for a time, or we might have a Guamanian rider for a time, they're the domestiques. So how are we going to build the profile of the weaker nations when they have to be our star, when they're not stars? And that's why I'm so excited about this series as a prospect, as a challenge to try to overcome. Because in my career mode series, we overcame things pretty quickly and turned ourselves into a strong powerhouse, got into the World Tour, and are dominating play for the most part. Now, finances were an issue, and hanging on to riders was tough. Here, finances feel like they're not going to be as much of an issue, because as a Continental or as a Continental Pro team with nations that are small profile, it's going to be pretty easy to be national champions. And at a Continental level, and somewhat at a Continental Pro level, it's going to be pretty easy to find super success over and over again, even though we're not actually very good. And so we should see our budget rise most seasons, like maximum. So if we're at 57 this year and we're at 71 next year and pushing into, 80 something to 90 something the year after, we're looking at a healthy budget compared to what we're used to working with. I think we'll hit that 200,000 plus within a handful of years. So if finances are easy to come by, that's great. We can afford to hang on to riders. What are we going to find is what I love about what we're trying to do here. And I'm not looking to just turn Japan into a powerhouse. And yes, I can have multiple Japanese riders, but that's only going to raise the profile of one country. I don't necessarily have to raise the profile of all 38, but I'm definitely going to need to set a target. 38 nations, and you have two scores, right? The training score and the popularity score. That's, if you get a 10 in each, which I don't know if there's any nations that have a 10 in each. 9s and 10s out there, multiple. There's 8s and 10s out there. I don't know if anybody has a 10-10 in any country. But if you maximize that in 38 countries, you're looking at a score of 760. That's not a realistic target. That's asking way too much. But our start point with that average that I was telling you of a 1.58 and a 2.84, That's 168 points for those 38 nations. So our starting score is a 168. The maximum is a 760. There's no way you can reach the actual maximum. I wouldn't mind setting a target of something like a 400 or 500. I mean, that's a massive increase from 168. But there's no way, no possible way that we could hit anything, realistically hit anything other than improving on multiple nations. So it's going to take more than just getting Japan to become a powerhouse or China to become a powerhouse because they have high popularity. They already have some advantage. They already have something going for us. It does take multiple nations. So I'm going to have to get creative on how this happens, how we make this happen, how we increase the might of these nations, how we use this new dynamic youth system and see it succeed. I'm really looking forward to the challenge. Let's get into it. I want to do one of these races at least in the near future with this squad just to see how bad it is in this first year. But this first year is going to go by pretty fast. Entering our very first race right from kilometer zero. It's not the team's first race. It's actually the team's second race, but it's our first objective race. First time we're going to actually take the helm of the team here. The objective for this is a top 10 overall. And to do so, we're going to have to take somebody who can climb. Yang is one of the better options for that. Kim is terrible on the flat and not very good on mountain. Stamina is definitely good for toe. Also good for flat. Good for mountain. Okay, this is candidate number 1. And we are going to send him in the break. What we need for this race is a top 10. We have 4 stages to achieve that top 10 overall. And as Lee comes forward, how is he? He's great on the flat. He's good stamina and good enough mountain. I'm going to try to send Lee forward as well. So we're going to attack with not 1 but 2 riders. Corpus is decent, but I don't know if they're going to let us get 3 guys out there. Let's take 2. The strategy that I'm aiming for with this is going to be what follows here. So we have 4 stages, 2 punchy. So 2 punchy stages, 2 flat stages. We're not good. We're not good at anything. But to get a top 10 with 2 punchy stages, when you're not good enough to actually, succeed, the trick is going to be to get in the breakaway on stages 1 and 4, the flat stages. Might have just been kind of a general pull these guys back. Corpus was another one who was decent. Let's get Corpus forward. Lee Seong are not up there yet, but Corpus might be able to break away. They're chasing this group again. They're not a fan of these guys getting away. Meow's not helping us, but it is together now as a group of 5. With 1 guy chasing that all down. Corpus is in a decent spot to take over if they get caught. The group has pulled up a little bit. Corpus, let's go ahead and sit up. Lee Sung, let's sit up. Let's see if those guys can actually get away. Field has changed their mind about those 5, so that's good. That's a 1-minute advantage, and we're already just 7K away from the first intermediate sprint. The intermediate sprints, and the purpose here is that there's 3, 2, and 1 second. And we'll go auto here as Kim goes down with another rider here. He will continue on as the Filipino Salazar cannot. Yeah, minute 54. Okay, we're good. We're good. 3K to go. Toe doesn't have a lot of energy, but we have got to attack and take the intermediate because of the 3, 2, and 1 second available. That's what gets you into the top 10. Even though you're garbage, all you have to do is, and this is not an all you have to do easy thing, all you have to do is oh, come on, man. Come on, Toe. Come on, Toe. Second over the top, right? Yes. Chook, Hai, Toe. DRT, that's us. Dragon Racing Team. 4 points. Don't care about the points. Really don't care about the points. What I care about, as I have a 3-minute advantage, is that he picks up some bonus seconds to secure a top 10 position. The trick will be surviving the climbs on the two stages in between, the two punchy stages that aren't easy. Now this is low-level stuff here. We're looking at a lot of continental Asian teams for this tour of Taiwan. Competition's not that high, but the favorites in the sprint, the favorites, you know, on the other stages, they're all guys that are going to be at about 70 overall, 70 for kind of their higher attributes, meaning they're going to have a 70 mountain, or they're going to have a 70 sprint in those disciplines. Our best guys are, you know, about a 61, 62 for toe. 4K to go. Trying to take additional seconds. Again, the main thing is going to be surviving, though. Surviving those two stages where we are clearly inferior. Attacking now for toe. Wow, that was poor, but he will hang on. That's 5 seconds worth of bonus. 5 seconds for toe. So that's going to be crazy helpful on securing that top 10, if at all possible. Meaning, if we can survive those two stages, he will definitely finish in the top 10 with those 5 bonus seconds. This group down to 56 seconds. We want Toe to just sit on. I mean, that's all. He's not contributing. He's not going to put forth maximum effort. We're going to make sure he doesn't get dropped by the peloton. And at this stage with, you know, 16K to go, that seems very, very unlikely. We're not going to finish in the top 3. We have no sprinters. We are definitely not finishing in the top 3. So we are prepared to move on to the next stage. It wasn't an Asian nation, but this is the dynamic part of our scouting and ultimately development of youth, or, you know, type of youth riders that are going to come in. Abner Gonzalez, actually one of our guys from our career mode, our regular career mode, Puerto Rican, and he has had a good result at the Volta Algarve, the Portuguese race. And because of his performance in Puerto Rico, now the popularity of cycling has grown in the country by 1 point and is now 3 points. This is that dynamic part that I was talking about. It takes performance. It takes successes. That's a slippery slope. That's a difficult thing to do when you're really bad. It's easy to win your national team race when everybody around you is really bad, but can you beat other professionals enough so at a high enough level to do what Gonzalez just did here? Certainly possible. It's going to be a tricky prospect for us. Let's continue on with our first of 2 punchy stages. Stage 2, another punchy one. If I can, I'm going to get a different guy into the break. We've already picked up some seconds. We are currently sitting in 3rd place overall with Toe. The stage ended up with a survivor of that breakaway. The guy who set off with us, actually, at the beginning of that one, he held on and won the stage by about 10 seconds, plus the 10-second time bonus. For now, though, we're trying to get a second guy into the break just in case. I mean, you might as well send somebody up, try to gain additional seconds, kind of game plan for another thing. But otherwise, our main objective here is to make sure that Toe gets over that Cat 1 climb. Hopefully he can do, especially with a +5 race day condition. I think he can manage. Right now, though, the break is still a hard-fought proposition for anybody trying to get into it, and Corp is actually already fatigued to the point where we might have to just about give this thing up as the group has all been reeled in. I'm going to give him one more. There's another attack immediately. Yeah, this is not a good day to be fighting to be in a breakaway. 4 guys have gotten away, and it's actually kind of looking like that's the group. The way this is already under control, that's definitely the group. As 3 more guys try to attack, maybe not. Oh, they're letting them go. They are letting them go. Let's see if we can. Yeah, not those guys. Not those ones. They're trying to chase those ones. They let those other 3 go. They seem willing to let 7 go, but not willing to let additional riders get off the front. And it's really too late. I mean, we're 8K away from the first intermediate sprint point. So for today, no intermediate sprint. Let's hang on over the top. And man, oh man, first episode, I'm already forgetting to move the face cam. I do that from time to time, but at least I caught myself. By the way, great time to mention that if you like the idea for this series and if you want to see more of this, know that on this channel there's going to be 3 episodes a week for this series, and it's going to continue. This one is definitely going to continue right up until the release of PCM23. So we have a good 6 months of 3 episodes weekly, and there's going to be a lot. I mean, we're looking at 70 to 80 episodes of this series at the very least. So if you do want to see this series and the entirety of it, see where it goes, how it does, please take a moment, drop below, click that like button. If you are new to the channel, click subscribe. If you aren't new to the channel and you still haven't done that, why not? You know what the channel's about. And if you're definitely here for the cycling content, you know what it's about. You know that it's going to be quality entertainment for a long time to come. So please, hit that subscribe button. Also, the algorithm, it's a cruel mother. I could use a little help on that algorithm. Please, take a second. When you drop below, click that like button. You didn't do it yet? Take a second. That's all it takes. But if you can leave an algorithm type comment, it really helps. Small channel. Here is the big climb of the day. I think we're going to be okay. It's the middle of the stage. I really do. It's the next stage that I worry about more. But we've got a weak bunch of climbers, and you see that with a 76 effort, we're actually dropping. We're fading pretty dang fast here. And our domestiques are using up a lot of energy to hold position. Let's push a little bit harder for these guys to make sure we're getting through the top. We're not even halfway in. We got 6K to go. It's getting steeper, and we are fading. 4.5K to go. Peloton staying together, staying intact for now. We're going to have to push a little bit harder here. I think we're going to be okay. 2.5K to go. Yes, we are drifting, but we're hanging in there. Might lose a domestique or two. Kojima, Yang. Fading. Still alive. Right at the back end. Some riders did get dropped here, but not from our team. But there's another climb here. Heart rate only dropped just enough to get a little bit of recovery for some of these guys, so they may yet get dropped, and do in the case of Yang and Kojima. Kim barely making it through there, but Lee, sure, you are our waterman. Go get it. 110 remain in the peloton. 6 riders off the front with a near 2-minute advantage. That's not an easy catch with 52K to go, but with 52K to go, I mean, it should happen. But it's not that strong of a peloton. And as we already saw in stage number 1, the breakaway did survive. Alright, so Kim is protecting the wrong guy. We want to get maybe Lee to protect Toe, who has done okay. Yang and Kojima, one of those guys, were the domestiques working for Toe before. Gap down to just over a minute to the front 6, meaning their time is limited. Last significant hill of the day. Through that one easily enough. And also, speaking of here, Kim is done. He is at the back end of this group, and so that means we are down to 4 guys for this one. Kim did get dropped down to 87, 86 now. Another attempted attack. Got a lot of puncher types that are having a go here late because of the difficulty that we have been facing. 12K to go. At some point we may have to train up and respond. I mean, these guys are seemingly on the attack here. They could break away any instant, so let's take this seriously just in case. Corpus is better on the flat. That's what we're gonna need the rest of the way. Lee is pretty good on the flat actually, so let's use Wee Seong. He's a good climber though. We don't want to lose him and lose time. Lee is not a very good climber. We're not intending to stay on a 99. We are just trying to inch our way forward here. So back off a little bit now that we've kind of established that we are in line, and it did. It split. I I knew it. I called it. I saw it happening. That is the breakaway plus some additional riders that just split off. And we, over that little move, just split the field. This is why we're doing this, because some of those guys are definitely not from the break. They are attacking and trying to get clear. Red bar is gone, but Lee can push on a little bit more. And then from Singapore on the front, just 35 left in the peloton, which is a beautiful thing, but we have not caught that front group yet. We have not caught that front group. That is very possible that they are going to get away and do something. So Corpus is going to lead us out. 2.5K, 2K. Still didn't quite catch that front group. Corpus, give me a sprint, a lead out, and Cho going for it. Or Toe. Cho. CH and Toe. They have taken the advantage, so they are going to pick up some time. Our 5-second time bonus just got destroyed by 7 riders surviving that attack. I called it. I saw it. Our weak team couldn't really handle it ourselves. I was trying to handle it. I was trying to be in a position to prevent it from even happening. I know the mechanics of this game, but our team is a little bit weak. We saw it, we read it, tried to respond to it, but just couldn't succeed in that response. We actually destroyed the peloton. I mean, a lot of riders are losing time today. And that part, outside of those 7 guys that we lost time to, the rest of that peloton behind us, that 60, 70 riders, we were responsible for breaking them off. That will certainly help us on the next stage. Top 10 chances. Take a bit of a hit with 7 guys getting away and picking up a little extra time. Massive stroke of luck, and let's be real, it shouldn't have happened. These guys should have gotten better time. 10 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever it might have been, they should have gotten it. They don't. We get same time. Our 30-something didn't get a time separation either. 93rd. All the way down to 93rd is on the same time. So these 7 guys got screwed. The 30 that we pulled away from the rest of the peloton, many kilometers from the finish. I mean, that sprint point, that climb, that KOM, it was 20 plus kilometers from the finish line. It was a long way out, and the next group was well behind at the finish, probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes down. There's no excuse for them having same time. Haitochuk, 25 seconds down in 5th place. Meow was the guy we were in the breakaway with on the first stage, who went on and held on and won. And that's the second time in a row we've seen a breakaway hold on. Lower quality riders, it's a little bit easier to do such a thing. It's harder for them to pull them back. But at the same time, it's just challenging. It's challenging to get away and do something. But that 5-second advantage over the field puts us comfortably in the top 10 if we can keep Haitochuk in the group on this next stage. Then we've got our top 10 wrapped up. Stage 3, I was once again trying to get Corpus into the break because the intermediate sprint is so early. I figured it makes sense to try to get a couple of seconds, so we have 2 options. The Corpus thing is appearing to not happen, though. I mean, the peloton now a minute and a half behind us, but these 5 guys are going to be really hard to catch, and we have just 3K to get up there and catch up to them. Oh, we might just get it. There you go. We're in it, but we got to get over the top of this climb without getting dropped. And at 25 advantage, 2K to go, and we are just alive in this thing. We might just yet get a chance at this. Sprinting without the ability to sprint. Corpus, can he get 3rd? If he can get 3rd, that's 1 second. That's all we needed. It is. It's 1 second for Corpus. So we now have 2 guys in play. We are going to back off and recover with Corpus here and fall back to the peloton. Obviously today is going to come down to the climb. Not the one we're on right now, but the, looks like 3 sections, but 1 proper climb of the day. Alright, here's the plan for the climb as we are on the base of it, about to start. Like I said, it's broken up into 3 sections here. For the first section, we're looking at 7K, 5.5%, which is not easy for guys with 58s, 60s, 62 mountains. That's about all we've got. So it's not going to be an easy climb to get through. I mean, you see just how much we've lost already. The thing about the last stage was it was in the middle, so nobody was pushing tempo. So even a bad climber can just about handle it and get over. And we saw the group break up a decent amount in that one, and we drifted back a lot. Here, you can drift back, but you can only drift back so much. So we are trying to hold position, and we're already seeing fatigue. We're already seeing a lot of fatigue. So Kojima and Yang and Lee gel up for all three of them because they're not going to last terribly long. They are the domestiques. I have Kim following Toe so that as soon as Lee is exhausted, Kim can take over. Kim's not a very good climber though. I mean, even with big bonuses, he's only got a 63 today. Wee is hanging on. He is probably the best climber, but we couldn't get him into the break on that first stage. So far, though, the hardest portion of the climb is this first portion, and we are most of the way up. We've still got 11k to go until we actually hit the top of the categorized portion, that Cat 2, the final third portion. And then there's still a little more undulation on your way to the finish line. That small descent in there is not going to be enough to... It'll lower the heart rate, but it's not going to be enough to do any recovery. 4 riders left off the front. Small group escaping, including Wee. That's all back together already. Now it's just 2 riders left off the front, so that was very temporary. But Wee is hanging on very well, but Toe is the one who's got a time bonus. We need him to kind of get back up there. Kojima has been broken off somehow. I'm thinking because he was supposed to be protecting Wee. Let's see if he can get back up there and actually do that a little bit longer. Corpus has definitely gone backwards. He and Yang not doing so hot, but he's our plan B anyway, and it looks like Wee is a better plan B than Corpus anyway. But how do you get him a time bonus? Well, stage 4, I guess. I could potentially go fight and get him a time bonus, but here goes Kojima going backwards. Corpus going to gel up and up your effort. You're not going to last long. Yang is going to last as long as you do. Kim is done. So hanging on. That is the second portion of the climb now. Ready, done, behind us. Corpus and Yang at the back end. Yang is done. Corpus is done. Kim is done. So we're down to Lee, who is just about done. And that means and we're coming up over the top. We're coming up over the top. We're going to get our 2 guys, anyway, our 2 leaders up over the top. But is it just me, or is that race leader now is getting dropped? Now is getting dropped. That's why they are calling this the peloton. He has lost contact. He has lost contact. This is good. This is very good. Lee still here, still protecting Toe, and Wee Sung is here as well. So we've got 3 guys left up front. Big crash. Corpus was caught up in that. Yang was caught up in that. Corpus is okay. Yang is okay. And that's going to be a little bit of a lead out there that Wee Sung is going to be able to give him. 49 riders left here. Gonna wait a few more seconds, and we're towards the back end of this group. We're going to have to get forward to make sure nothing bad happens. Wee Sung 59. Flat rating is not good. 4 riders left ahead. They're going to gain time bonuses, but we're looking for a top 10. Those guys, depending on where they're at, aren't going to do much to impact our position. In fact, it looks like we're about to catch 2 of them potentially. 1.5, and Wee Sung has been sprinting for ages and doing absolutely nothing with it because of his weak ratings. Top 2, we've caught the other 2, so now it's only 2 guys that are going to get separation. That's good. That's good. That means we're going to be up there in the standings with Toe. Top 2 guys gain 27 seconds. That's almost certainly going to put them into the top 2 as long as they were still on same time. And after 36th, Wei Xiong and a small group fell off the back at the end. They lose time, so there are time gaps galore, including that former leader being well out of it now. He's still in the top 5 because 2 guys move up, multiple guys move down, and Tochuk is top 5, so that's awesome. Next stage should not change that. It's just a sprint stage, so we're looking at a top 5 for our first race objective. When we needed a top 10, that's already a good evaluation starting. And like I was saying, those national championships should be a favorable way for us to gain what we need. Objective, season 1, keep sponsors happy, do some scouting, see if we can find some decent Asian talent to bring into the squad for next year, because we have to win some races. That's the main thing here. We have to win some races, but we're always going to have weaker selection of riders. Can we find somebody with potential that can grow and develop into something strong? Can we convince to sign any actual quality riders without a reputation, without a profile? Because it's going to be mostly about future seasons. Season 1 is not where you're going to suddenly have the magic happen. Season 1 is going to be survival and just trying to make the sponsors as happy as we can. So for the first at least 2 to 3 seasons, we're going to move pretty dang quick and might still be in Continental after 3 of them. We might find enough. How many there really are proper riders to pick from that count as Asian nations that are going to help us get better and help us get promoted to Continental Pro. That is going to do it for this very first episode, though, for this brand new Pro Cycling Manager 2022 Challenge series. And we are the Dragons. I'm Decathlon Gamer. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. And bye for now.